But let's begin with the president's surprise decision to reinstate the ban on transgender people serving in the military. Our senior White House correspondent, Jeff Zeleny, is joining us. Jeff, the White House can't say what impact this major policy decision will have on active duty transgender service members.
Wolf, answers here, specific answers, were in very short supply today to that very question of what happens to transgendered Marines, soldiers, sailors already deployed. The White House simply could not say. Now, all of this is coming a year after Donald Trump stood at the Republican convention and said he will do everything in his power to protect LGBT citizens. But today, the White House referring questions to the Pentagon referring questions back here. It all had the air of someone trying to change the subject. The White House struggling tonight to answer questions about President Trump's surprise announcement forbidding transgender Americans from serving in the U.S. military. The president reversing an Obama administration policy with little explanation, saying on Twitter, "After consultation with my generals and military experts, please be advised the United States government will not accept or allow transgender individuals to serve in any capacity in the U.S. military." Those words surprised many at the Pentagon and sparked confusion that new White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders had difficulty explaining.
When the president made the decision yesterday, the Secretary of Defense was immediately informed, as were the rest of the national security team that had been part of this ongoing conversation.
The White House unable to clarify whether transgender members of the military serving in Afghanistan or elsewhere would be removed from their posts.
That's something that the Department of Defense and the White House will have to work together as implementation takes place. This was a military decision. This was about military readiness. This was about unit cohesion. This was about resources within the military and nothing more.
Under persistent questions, Sanders finally said she had nothing else to say about a major policy change.
Can we be friends? I'll keep you posted, but if those are the only questions we have, I'm going to call it a day.
All this as the White House dealt with more fallout from the president's ongoing attack on Attorney General Jeff Sessions. Sessions leaving the White House today, refusing to give in to a withering, week-long assault from the president. At the very hour Sessions was in the West Wing for a routine meeting, not with the president, Mr. Trump leveled another broadside against his Attorney General. In back-to-back messages on Twitter, the president criticized him for not removing Andrew McCabe as acting director of the FBI. Why didn't AG Sessions replace acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe, a Comey friend who was in charge of the Clinton investigation, but got big dollars for his wife's political run from Hillary Clinton and her representatives? Drain the swamp. It's the latest move in an extraordinary yet one-way feud between the White House and top officials at the Justice Department.
Look, you can be disappointed in someone but still want them to continue to do their job, and that's where they are.
Continue in that job?
I think that I made clear last week, if there comes a point he doesn't, he'll make that decision.
The president's public shaming of Sessions has sparked an unusually intense GOP backlash on Capitol Hill. From Senator Orrin Hatch of Utah,
I don't fully understand why the president has said what he said. But I think Jeff deserves, better treatment.
To Senator Richard Shelby, who, like Sessions, is an Alabama Republican.
He is not the president's personal lawyer. He's the Attorney General of the United States. He took an oath to the Constitution, not to the president. And I think the president needs to realize that.
Now, Wolf, this evening, several Republican senators are also raising sharp questions and criticism of that major policy he announced about transgendered members of the military. Senator John McCain, of course, from the Armed Services Committee, saying that any able-bodied American should be able to serve in their military. So he's critical of that, as well as other Republican senators, Wolf. So this is something that is going to be very controversial going forward, the implementation as well as the politics of this one.
Yeah, lots of criticism of the president's decision. Jeff Zeleny at the White House, thank you. Let's get some more on the concern, the uncertainty sparked by the president's revival of the ban on transgender troops. Let's go to our Pentagon correspondent, Barbara Starr. She's working the story for us. Barbara, again and again, White House Press Secretary Sanders was unable to say if transgender members of the armed forces currently serving would be kicked out, which is what the president's tweet suggested. Is there any clear understanding where you are over at the Pentagon right now about what this new policy means?
That's really the point, Wolf. There is no understanding. This was the making of military policy, if you will, by the president on Twitter. The U.S. military operates by rules, regulations, and military law, directives, none of that. No guidance from the White House about what this all means. You saw the press secretary say that the White House and the Pentagon will now work together. But the concern is that for those who are currently serving, estimated between 13 to 6,600, a relatively small number given the size of the military. What happens to these people? Will they be forcibly booted out, to be clear, from the U.S. military? Will they even get an honorable discharge? Will this be legal? What will happen to them? Perhaps, though, underneath all of this, the most compelling thing that Sanders said was Secretary James Mattis was informed. We do not know if he agreed. We don't know if the Joint Chiefs were informed, because while all of this was happening this morning, the Pentagon Mattis had long said he wanted to take 6 months and with the chiefs and figure out a way ahead on all of this. So the military advice the president had was take 6 months, let's figure it all out. The president this morning rejected that military advice very clearly, put his foot down and said these people cannot serve in the U.S. military.
Yeah, they had only been deliberating for 1 month. They still had 5 months to go. The White House insisted, Barbara, as you know, this is a military decision, citing high costs, unit cohesion. Have you heard those concerns expressed at the Pentagon?
Well, look, we've talked to a number of people. The military has not offered any comprehensive, if you will, evidence that there is a problem with unit cohesion. The cost, the Rand Corporation estimated maybe $8 million in medical costs compared to the $49 billion in the Pentagon's annual health care bill. There's been no indication. Could there be anecdotal evidence out there? Yes. Could there be people in the U.S. military who object to this? Absolutely. The military is a reflection of American society. But again, the U.S. military operates by rules, regulation, and military law. This may be the first time it's been told to operate by Twitter, Wolf.
All right, Barbara, thanks very much. Barbara Starr at the Pentagon. Let's get some more on all of this. Democratic Congressman Eric Swalwell of California is joining us. He's a member of both the Judiciary and Intelligence Committees. Congressman, thanks very much for joining us.
Thanks for having me back, Wolf.
Let me get your reaction to the president's important announcement today on Twitter, banning transgender Americans from serving in the U.S. military. What's your reaction?
It shouldn't matter who you are, Wolf, only who you are for. And if you're for the United States, you should be able to serve in our armed services. And so this takes us very, very backwards. He's also wrong about any cost it would incur on our military. The American Medical Association and studies on this show that the costs would be minimal. And also, Wolf, I just want to tell you the will of the House of Representatives is to oppose this. We voted on a similar amendment last week that was defeated. And so this is wrong in so many ways, including that he didn't even tell the Pentagon, it seems, about it or go through any of the formal processes to implement something like this.
You've heard all the speculation out there that the president made this surprise announcement this morning on Twitter in order to change the subject from some of the other sensitive issues he's been facing. What do you think?
Well, that's a very reckless way to govern. There are many important decisions that he has to make right now, including what we do about North Korea, which you mentioned in your opening, as well as how do we get people back to work in this country. He went to an audience last night of thousands of people who are counting on him to deliver better skills, better jobs, and a better future, and I don't see any of that. So this is quite a reckless way to lead our country.
Let's talk about some other important issues. The president once again today attacking the Attorney General of the United States, Jeff Sessions, again on Twitter. If President Trump were to fire the Attorney General, what impact would that have on the investigation currently being conducted by your committee?
Well, I support President Trump firing Attorney General Sessions, not for the misguided reasons that he wants to fire him, though. So I think because he was not forthcoming with the Senate and because he was involved with James Comey's firing, he can't lead the Department of Justice. Now, what this would trigger, though, would be the Senate would have to confirm a new Attorney General. And I think this is an opportunity for Republicans and Democrats to unite, act as a co-equal branch of government, and really put some checks and reins on this president.
Do you believe that firing Sessions would signal the president's intent to also fire the special counsel, Robert Mueller?
I don't know, Wolf. Honestly, I don't want to speculate, without any evidence of that. I believe that for different reasons, Attorney General Sessions should go. And also, Donald Trump wants him gone because Sessions won't go after his political opponents and because he took himself out of the Russia investigation. So again, that shows you the intent of Donald Trump with respect to the Russia investigation.
The president also attacked the acting FBI director, Andrew McCabe, falsely alleging some financial contributions from McCabe's wife, who was running for office in Virginia directly from Hillary Clinton. He received funding. She received some funding, I should say, from the governor, Terry McAuliffe, the Democratic governor of Virginia, not from Hillary Clinton. He's already fired the previous FBI director, James Comey. Do you worry that the president is also now trying to purge the highest levels of American law enforcement?
He's being a bully, but law enforcement officers in our country, FBI agents, they're not going to be bullied. It's very destructive for morale to really make those false allegations about the FBI acting director right now. But Wolf, I know that the men and women who serve our country from the street to the agent level, they're not going to be bullied by this president. It's bad. It's a bad look for America right now.
Congressman Swalwell, there's more we need to discuss. There's new information coming into the Situation Room. We'll take a quick break. We'll resume our coverage right after this.